In this video, I'm going to be going over all of the gizmos and gadgets that have accompanied us on our trip so far. If you're new to the channel, the context here is that my wife and I and 3 children have been traveling for nearly 7 months throughout the United States in a Honda Odyssey minivan. In March, we sold our house, gave away everything that we owned, except what we needed to travel full-time, basically tent camping the majority of the time. I'm going to give a quick overview so you know what's here. That might help you decide if you want to watch the whole video. And then I'll kind of go piece by piece in explaining why we bought it, why we've kept it, how we use it, and maybe how we use it a little bit differently than how is suggested by the manufacturer. The 30-second overview starts with our newest piece of tech, a laptop, some walkie-talkies, water purification, speaker that hooks up to the guitar, iPod Nanos for the kids, bricks and cords, watches, AirPods, temperature sensor, adapter cords, power banks, some knives, headlamps, monocular, GoPro, microphone, OBD2 connector for checking check engine lights, our favorite lighters, DVD player for the kids' laptops, whistles and flashlights, an air pump and lantern for the tent, an adapter to transfer fuel, butane fuel between the different sizes. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. I'll go into a little bit more detail on each item. We'll go from there. The last super useful item that we use all the time is this mini tripod slash selfie stick. I'll be using it now to go through the different things. And I don't do affiliate links. I'm not a fan of them. I don't like how they degrade people's trust in the in the person doing the review, in this case me. But I will provide a few links for some of the obscure and hard to find items. If you have any other questions, you can let me know. So we're going to go ahead and start in this corner. This is an incredible item that is worth its weight in gold. It's made by the company Nitecore. It's a little air pump, and it comes with a couple of adapters. We've thrown a few away that we didn't need, but these adapters go here so that you can blow up air pads. They also go here so that you can get a vacuum. So you might want to vacuum pack some clothing bags or something like that. It goes in both places. You push and hold for the blower, and you push here and hold for the light. There's 3 different light modes: low, medium, and high. It is USB-C rechargeable, and we can probably fill up 25 to 30 pads before this is dead. You'll know it's dead because you click here and it's green if it's above, I think, 75%. It's blue if it's below 50, and it's red if it's below 20, something like this. We debated for a long time of just blowing up the air pads just with our lungs every night, but yeah, it gets a little bit old. So with this pump and these 2 adapters, this one comes with it, this gray piece comes with it. I added the black piece to work on one of the thermal rest pads. I think it comes with 3 more adapters, but again, we got rid of those. Very, very, very useful item. You can find it on Nitecore's website. The next item that's very useful is this little guy called a flip fuel. The flip fuel allows you to transfer butane between 2 different tanks. The price difference, whoops, I guess you should close it if you're going to do a demonstration. So the price difference between these large tanks and the small tanks is significant. So we like having 2 small tanks, one for our Trangio, one for our Jetboil, so that we can take them on the trail with us. But we primarily like to buy these big ones, which are a huge cost savings. And what we do is, as the little one gets empty, we can transfer the fuel from the big one to the little one. Now, this was about 30 bucks. You can get off-brand ones, but we happened to buy it while we were in a store, and I was happy to give the original company their money, not to the counterfeiters. Anyway, very useful item. Staying in this quarter, nothing profound. These are our 2 favorite lighters. This is the Bic Mini. They're very small and they just kind of go anywhere. And then Bic has started making these stem lighters. These are just a push. It's a piezoelectric. And what's nice is you just keep your distance. So it's nice for starting the stove. It's also nice for the kids. They don't burn their thumbs on the little wheel. This is an item worth its weight in gold. It is an OBD2 dongle that connects to your phone. It allows you to read the check engine light or the ABS light on your car. Now, this particular one costs about $100. I've owned several of the cheaper ones that only cost 15 or 20, but this one has 2 things going for it that the others don't. First, it can scan many more lights in the dashboard than just the engine light. So you can do ABS, you can do airbag, depending on the model, you can do even more. And the support, the company that actually runs Blue Driver, is not a fly-by-night tech company. I've emailed with them several times. They've sent me patches. They've sent me software updates that I needed specifically for an older vehicle. Very, very good support. And so in my mind, it's worth the extra $80 compared to one of the cheapies. Yeah, so some cheap microphones that clip on our clothing, and then there's a little piece that goes inside the iPhone. That's what I'm using right now to make this video. A friend of ours, Zaid, gave us this GoPro Hero 8. We don't use it as much as we hoped we would, but it's great because it's waterproof and the kids get to use some photography practice out of it. A monocular is a nice choice compared to binoculars. Binoculars take up a lot of space, and unless you're birding all the time, you might find, like we have, you don't use it as much as you think you will. Binoculars are kind of this picturesque, this gazing opportunity when you're hiking. But in our experience on the road for 7 months now, just a monocular is really nice. We use it, of course, like everyone else would, for looking at animals and such. We also take it rock climbing with us. It helps us find the anchors and the bolts and identify different things on the route that are too far for our eyes to see. So each of our children have a laptop, a relatively inexpensive laptop from HP, and of course modern day laptops don't come with drives at all. On top of that, we are teaching our children German, and we have a load of German DVDs, and so this has no region codes. So just with a USB-C to USB mini, you can pick these up for very inexpensive, and that allows your kids to watch movies on their laptop, or in our case, to watch German movies. Of course, we're aware of streaming services, but we kind of like the control of DVDs, and there's just a lot of things going on in the media world that we're not always super happy about, and so this just kind of gives us a little bit more control, gives us a little more flexibility. And as you travel, you come across places that are selling used DVDs for 50 cents or $1, so it can be pretty economical as well. Nothing terribly profound over in this corner. We all have Timex style watches, which are really nice for chronographs and timers and alarms, which is really good on the road. All of the kids are learning time management, and this is a simple tool to teach kids time management in a variety of ways. This is a pretty cool item. This is from the company SwitchBot. This is a Bluetooth data logging temperature sensor and humidity sensor. So it's pretty handy as you're trying to fine tune your clothing system as well as your sleeping system. When you wake up in the morning and the kids say, "Man, I was so cold last night," you say, "Well, I wonder how cold it was." And this basically sends all the data to your phone. You can graph it like a total nerd, and you can see how cold it was and what the humidity was. It allows you to fine tune the venting in the tent so that you keep the humidity down. Inexpensive item, but very useful. A couple of AirPods, nothing special there. I won't go into those. This is a nice little gadget specifically to be paired with the GoPro. So the GoPro has a little micro SD card in there, and this thing accepts SD and micro SDs, plugs right into your phone, and then it basically works like a computer where you can pull the files off directly, which can save a lot of time compared to sending everything over Bluetooth. So we kind of went old school with headphones. This is just a standard mini jack, but it has these loop over the ears, which are pretty good for the kids. You may find with young children that headphones are always kind of falling off. So these are kind of the best of both worlds. They take up a relatively small amount of space. They hook up to our car when the kids want to watch a movie. They also hook up to the kids' laptops, and they also hook up to the iPods, which we'll talk about now. So we bought these 3 iPod Nanos, latest generation, for about 50 bucks on eBay. They came with a brand new battery, so the battery life is great. I think these are all 16 gigabytes, and we just transfer music, audiobooks, and things like that to the children's iPods. It's a nice compromise between letting your kids have a modern day cell phone versus not letting them have anything at all. And for homeschooling, again, it's great for audiobooks and things like that. Their history lessons are also on here, the story of the world, and very economical since they're about 10 or 15 years old. A couple of cords we've come across that are just really handy is I'll start with this one. So this is a multi-ended cord. You have USB-C in red, USB micro in blue, and lightning in black. And then on the other side, you have USB-C, but then you also have a USB-A adapter. So these are really handy. I will put a link because they're kind of hard to find. There's a lot of different brands. We have a shorter version. We've actually chopped a few of these. You'll see we didn't need it, but this is just USB-A to C and micro. It had 2 other cables, which were for the iPhone, but these are just for the kids. But sometimes in the car, a short one is really useful. Other times, a long one's useful. Staying in the same category, The kids all have one of these, so just a US or a, yeah, US standard adapter. But again, USB-C and USB-A, which is pretty handy. And then I have the fancier version of that from Anchor, just to have the flexibility of both and also save a little bit of space with those. And then they also make this one too, which is a little bit smaller, but you missed out on the USB-A that may or may not be important to you. And then just a short little USB-A to iPhone or iPod so the kids can transfer data back and forth on their iPods to their laptops. All right, we're just going to finish up with the tech category here. So power banks, of course, are extremely common nowadays. Everybody makes one. This is a 20,000 milliamp hour. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour. These are also coming from the company that makes the air pump, Nitecore. It's funny, I really like this company, but their website and some of their design choices make them look really kind of hokey and cheesy. But these are awesome. They are significantly smaller than the counterparts available on Amazon. They are significantly more expensive, 2 or 3 times. I think this was 60 and this was close to 100. But when space is a hot commodity, like in our case, then we win for it. This is the older generation. It has USB-A and C out, which I really like. The newer one is just 2 different USB-Cs. And then this is the newer version of the 20,000, 2 USB-Cs ins and outs. And the main reason we have this is because every night we pair it with this, and one of my children will broadcast white noise from their iPods to kind of cover up some of the sounds of the campground. People sneezing, people yelling, people slamming car doors, all kinds of things will wake you up in the middle of the night, and having some ocean waves in the background is pretty handy. You may notice that this is also a speaker that's used for a guitar. So we have a travel guitar with us. And so this is used kind of for the white noise and music as a family, also when I want to play guitar. And the main reason that we have this one is for really long hikes when we're a little worried about the phone dying. And for that, we just have one of these short Anchor cords, USB-C to Lightning. When you spend so much time in the outdoors, lighting is really important. And I am kind of a bit obsessive as a backpacker when it comes to certain things, headlamps being one of those things. So you'll notice we have 5 of the same headlamp here, also from that same company, Nitecore. I have owned one of these for over 3 years. It is still my favorite. They've tried to come out with a better model, but a lot of people complain that this older model is still the best one. What I like about it is that this back bracket gives you the ability to take off the original headband and just add some small 2 or 3 millimeter elastic bungee cord. What I really like about this is not just the weight savings, which is insignificant even as a backpacker, but that you can quickly bundle it up. And I won't do that on screen. And this just fits in your pocket. It fits in the palm of your hand. It doesn't get snagged on things, and it's just much more pleasant. If you're one of the people like me, a little OCD, straps and all these things can just drive you a little bit crazy. So we have a couple yellows, couple blacks. We use beads at the end after the cord lock so that we know whose is who. And I'll just walk you through the features super quick. It has 2 buttons, basically power and R for red. So when you do power, you get 1, 2, 3 different modes. If you hold, you get a 4th. And then if it's off and you push and hold, you get a different style light. This is like really nice for reading books, whereas this is nice for walking around because it's it shoots the beam out more. On the red side, you have light red, bright red, and then some blinking modes. If you hold the red button, it will blink and it will tell you what your battery life is in percentage. And it has a USB micro here on the bottom. Probably the only thing I would change about this is I wish it was USB-C charging. Otherwise, the battery life is phenomenal. The size is phenomenal. The price is great, about 40 bucks. Again, the ability to modify it is really handy, and the features are really great. One thing that's really annoying when you buy a headlamp, if you want to get to red lights, sometimes you have to go through the white lights to get to the red lights. And normally you're using red lights to preserve your night vision. So that's just really annoying and clunky. So we have 5 of those. Then we also all have a second light for if that one dies, we keep in our pocket. So my favorite of that one is also from Nitecore. It's called the Tiki. And I won't go through all the modes, but this one has several different modes. You can hold and push, you can push and hold. It has a little UV light here as well. And it's just extremely small, smaller than your pinky. It's extraordinarily bright for its size. And it's great for backpackers. It's great for minimalists. An alternative to that is this one that my daughter has from Olight. This one is a twist. I'm not as big of a fan of twists because they always require two hands, whereas this just has a little button on it. But that one works really good. Also, this little Nightcore tube is a favorite from my son. Extraordinarily small, thin, USB micro rechargeable. In my opinion, not as good as the Tiki, but still great. And then my youngest son has this one, the Tiny 2. This one is kind of cool to him because it has a screen and a bunch of features. But I would say if you could only choose one, the Tiki would be the one to go for. Moving on and almost done. So a couple of us, the boys and I, have Leathermans that we use for various things. Probably one of the most useful tools you can own. I also really like these medium-sized Swiss Army knives. They're hard to find because they don't make them anymore. This is the one that you've seen 1,000 times before, the classic. It's about the size of your pinky. You can see this one is a good bit bigger, and just everything is more useful on it if you have bigger hands, which I don't, but even if you don't. So it's the same thing, scissors, knife, and nail file, tweezers, and toothpick. My dad gave me this. I'm really grateful for it. I use it like every day for something. I also do a lot of sewing repairs, and it's just a lot easier to handle than this little guy. If you can't find one of these, this is, of course, a great alternative, but maybe hunt for one of those on eBay. Yeah, third to last thing is walkie-talkies. So walkie-talkies are an incredible tool for parents with small children because it allows you to have like a virtual leash. You can let your kids go further than you probably would be comfortable with. You'd let them go to places that you probably wouldn't be comfortable with, and they just buzz you if they get into trouble. So we've had walkie-talkies on all 3 of our trips. My parents blessed us by getting each of the kids a walkie-talkie for this trip. They cost about $100, so they're not cheap. There's a couple things that are really good about them that I'll share, and then ultimately you have to decide if it's worth the money for you or not. The first thing is that they attach very easily with a carabiner. This is a climbing grade carabiner, and we do go climbing. And you may or may not be aware of this, but most walkie-talkies just have a little belt clip on the back, and it's pretty flimsy and cheap and doesn't really work that often. And we clip these to our pockets, to our belt loops, to our bags. It's just a really fantastic way to carry around an expensive device like this. They also come with these leashes, which you can take on and off. Those are really handy if you're doing anything where dropping this would be detrimental, like rock climbing. It has 128 channels, which means you can always find a channel that is outside of the common 1 through 20 range, so you won't hear other people's chatter. Even if you are hearing other people's chatter, you can put on privacy codes so that you don't hear what they're saying. It's got, of course, the normal, walkie-talkie related things. I won't go into all of that. It has a couple accessory add-ons that you can do. But the battery life, fantastic. The range, fantastic. They're water resistant. They're USB-C rechargeable. They're very robust. They clip on and off very easily. And if you think you can justify spending $100 on a walkie-talkie, these are the ones to get. I've had lots of other ones from Motorola and a few other companies, and I don't have anything bad to say about them. I just have good things to say about these. All right, one other thing that you don't see so often, unless you're in the backpacking world, is just a simple water filter. This one is from Platypus. I like this one because it attaches to a couple of different style bottles, including smart water bottles. And I like pairing it with just a water bag. This one's 0.75 or 750 milliliters. You can also do the liter one. And this is just really nice if you're going on a long hike, but you know there will be water, like along a creek or a river. You don't have to bring loads and loads of water with you. You just fill this up with water, you filter it into the 2 water bottles that you brought as a family, and it ends up saving you a lot of weight, but not just weight, also stress. Because if you're not spending loads of time in the backcountry or whatever, you might not really know how much water do we need for this particular hike. And so you either bring way more than you need and you kill your back, or you're running low and it stresses you out. And so bringing a water filter like that is just a nice compromise. The last thing that is not that interesting for most people is just the fact that we bought a laptop. We bought this at a scratch and dent place. It was really just open box. So it's a couple years old, but brand new, 100% battery health, and it cost us about $450. And we had been living with only one phone, which is what I'm filming on right now, an iPhone 13 mini. And when you try and do everything that you need to in the digital world on an iPhone, you go a little crazy. So after 6 months, we bought that in Canada with a nice exchange rate. So anyway, I hope that that was helpful to somebody. One thing I just want to remind you of is that um, we have been doing this now for 6 months. So we have added and subtracted from the arsenal of all the things that you see here. So anyone can kind of go out and spend a bunch of money on Amazon and say, I might want this or that. But this has been kind of culled and refined and honed to really what packs a big bang for your buck and what doesn't take up a lot of space. And so I hope you can see kind of the thought and experience behind all of these things. Again, I'll leave a couple links in the description for the hard to find items, but not for everything. If you want it, go find it on your own. I don't want to make a commission off of you. In the meantime, take care, God bless, and enjoy the great outdoors.